Hi, I'm Admin Yugio from Sword Art Online Season 2. About a year ago, no, exactly a year ago, I made one of these Q&A things for the announcement of the second season. And now it's been a year, the second season's finished airing, and I thought it would be cool to make a Q&A video just for Sword Art Online in general, what the anime hasn't covered in the books. If we get a season 3, there will obviously be third season content in this Q&A. So what I'm going to do to start is read any questions on that we already have on the frequently asked question list, because I already know some frequently asked questions will be covered in this Q&A. Any question on the frequently asked questions in the Q&A, I will simply give a number for you to look up yourself. The link to the frequently asked questions list will be in this Q&A interview, in the description on Facebook and on YouTube. At the end I have seen there are some questions asking for spoilers, so at the end of the Q&A I have a spoiler section, and there will be plenty of warning that we're about to reach the spoiler section of the video. So let's start just with the pages frequently asked questions. 1. Will there be a season 3? We don't know, as nothing has been announced yet. When we know, we will be sure to announce it. 2. What is Project Alicization? Project Alicization is the name of the first half of the Alicization arc. The second half will be a 4th season on the condition we even get a season 3, and is called War of the Underworld. Project Alicization is also the name of the research project that the government is doing on the virtual world. 3. What is Underworld? Underworld is the name of the virtual world that Alicization is set in. Please note that it is not called Underworld Online. 4. So Kirito isn't playing a game. No. 5. Will insert character that is not Kirito be in Alicization? With the exception of Asuna, Yui, Shinon, and Kikuoka Seijiro? No. Asuna, Yui, Shinon, and Kikuoka play a relatively big role and will be in 1 or 2 episodes, but they won't appear too often. They appear a bit more than Asuna appeared in Phantom Bullet. 6. Do Kirito and Asuna break up? No, stop asking. 7. Will the arc revolve around Kirito? Yeah, the first half will. And anything else is in relation to Season 2 and the light novels, so I won't be covering that, because that was already covered in last year's Q&A. If you want to rewatch last year's Q&A, I'll include a link in the description. Okay, so the questions. Nicholas Newell Hill asks, why did they make it about Asuna towards the end of Season 2? Also, why so much feels for a season finally? So the way Season 2 worked was they cover, similar to Season 1, they covered books 5, 6, 8, and then 7. Book 8 was just some side stories, had things like Murder Case in the Area, and it had Caliber, and there was one other story. Forgot what it was. So yeah, with the ending of Season 2, they were covering Book 7, which is a side story called Mother's Rosario, which most of you would know. And Mother's Rosario happened to be a really sad story, which is why the feels, and why it was mostly Asuna was because Mother's Rosario was a story about Asuna, sort of to break from the fact they were going all about Kirito all through. Nicholas Herr asks, what is Alicization? As I said, there are questions that have already been covered in the frequently asked questions. That's why I went through the frequently asked questions. This is one of those questions. And so, Nicholas Herr, you will find the answer to your question on question 2 of the frequently asked questions. Donovan Holmes asks, what does the echo in Alicization stand for? So, Alicization is one of the other admins of the page, and Echo is what he calls himself online. So, it's just an alias. It's like I call myself Yu-Gi-Oh! Sean Buckley asks, also, can you give us more insight into the new characters in this arc? Sean, I will come back to your question in the spoiler section. Melissa Kirby asks, what exactly is Alicization? As in, what is it about? Okay, your question isn't actually answered in the frequently asked questions, even though it's pretty much identical. I'll come back to you in the spoiler section. Spoiler section. Ahmed Ayman Kamaradzaman asks, please excuse me if I pronounce your name wrong, I don't mean to, but he asks, when will SAO3 be on air? See question 1 in the frequently asked questions. William Vasquez asks, wait, so that's it, it's already over. It was still getting good, it just started, it can't end. I know, it's really sad that the season had to end, but Sword Art Online is popular and I'm really hopeful we're going to get a 3rd season. Sean Buckley asked another question that I will cover in the spoiler section. Ahmed Aslam asked, will Sachi come back in Season 3? No. Ashley Burke asked, how will Kirito get back to the real world? I'm pretty much up to date on the light novels. I've read as far as Tap is translated. This isn't answered in the light novel. If you can PM the page, I can get one of our admins that has read the web novel to answer your question. I would get them to comment, but it's spoilers, so you'll need to contact the page directly for spoilers. Aaron Sears asked, what does a S-rank rabbit thing taste like? And don't say rabbit, lol. I've never tasted one, but if I ever do, I'll be sure to write a 10-page report for you about the taste. Aidan Harris asks, I don't 100% understand the dual-wield skill and the difference when I use 2 swords in Alfheim, or whatever it's called. Okay, the dual-wield skill in Aincrad, when they were playing Sword Art Online, was basically Kirito can use 2 swords instead of 1 because his offhand he could only use a shield, but he had a special skill that allowed him to use a sword and it had sword skills attached to it. When Kirito uses 2 swords in Fairy Dance in Alfheim, that was already allowed, it's just no one really has the reaction speed to be able to use it. And that special skill connect Kirito used in Caliber, also in Alfheim, was basically him using one sword skill after the other really quickly. Alicia Taylor asks, why does the Alice in Alicization look like she's from Alice in Wonderland? I've heard a lot of people say that, and to be honest, I have no clue. Brandon Schultz asked, will we get to see Yui become more real? We do get to see her interact with the real world like she was in Mother's Rosario, but other than that, we haven't really seen it yet. Warren Kunanen asked, it's UWO, right? Underworld Online. please see question 3 of the frequently asked questions. Ethan Allen asked, is there going to be an arc after Alicization? In the web novel, Alicization was it, that was the ending. As for will there be an arc after it, it depends. Reki Kawahara hasn't finished writing Alicization in the light novel yet, so I guess we'll see in a couple years. This next one should go in the spoiler section, but it's not really. I don't know. I think I'll say it here. Manuel Salinas asked, will someone die? Someone that we care about in the next arc? Oh, you poor soul. Just you wait. You remember how many died in Iron Crud? Double that number. John Fugieroa asked, will there be a season 3? Please see question 1 of the frequently asked questions. I'm certain I've answered that before. No? Oh. I don't know. Okay. Benza Junzai Durako asked, I'm a bit curious as to how we had the transition from the Grand Quest for Excalibur to sickly ALO players. They all point back to Kaiba Akihito, which kind of makes it seem forced. I'm tempted to say you'll see, but I don't know. I didn't find it felt forced, but that's your opinion. Omar Bravo asked, will they get married? If you mean Kirito and Asuna, they have talked about wanting to be together forever, but marriage hasn't been discussed in the books yet. And that question can be in the spoiler section. Okay, so that's the end of the main questions, or the non-spoiler stuff. So if you keep feel free to keep watching, but past this point there will be spoilers, and don't blame me if you spoil yourself. But yeah, there's definitely spoilers past this section of the video. Sean Buckley asked if we can give more insight into the new characters in this arc. So the only real recurring character is Kirito. One of the first characters introduced into the arc is Yu-Gi-Oh! He's the same age as Kirito. He's Kirito's childhood friend, and pretty much his goal in life is to rescue Alice. Alice Schuberg is another new character. And, well, she's the same age as Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh! And she doesn't do much. You got Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kirito's valets, Teaser and Runya. They're basically there to serve Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh! While they're in the academy. Administrator is just pure evil, and that's all I'm going to say about the characters. Remember, these have been spoilers. Sean Buckley asked, I've read over the synopsis for Alicization a number of times and I can't quite get my head around it because it's not exactly spoilerish. It's online. Could you sum up the plot of the arc? How different is it from all the other arcs? From what I've read and what I can understand, it doesn't seem to fit into the story as well as the others did. Okay, Alicization is so different that it could be considered its own, franchise. Now, as for summing up the plot of Alicization, I'm only going to sum up the first half. That is from volume 9 to 14. So it starts with a flashback of Kirito with his childhood friends Yu-Gi-Oh! And Alice. Basically, Alice breaks this set of laws called the Taboo Index, which is supposed to be impossible to break. And when Alice breaks this law, she gets taken away by a white knight known as an integrity knight. The law she broke was she placed her hand in the dark territory. So, back in the present, Shinon is telling Kirito about something she's heard about called fluctuating light, which is basically this theory that there's this special light that fluctuates in your brain, and that is your soul. If you were to remove this from your body, the soul would be removed from the body. And she also mentions that she was absolutely destroyed in the last Bullet of Bullets by someone called Subtilizer. And she wants Asuna and Kirito to help her in the next Bullet of Bullets. Kirito and Asuna are walking home, and they're confronted by someone that Kirito recognises. His name is Johnny Black. You'll remember him from Phantom Bullet. He stabs Kirito with... or people prefer to say shoots Kirito with the same needle that Shinkawa was gonna use on Shinon. So Kirito is shot by Death Gun, and then Kirito is rushed to hospital. He's resuscitated, but he's completely brain dead. This company he's been working for, called RAF, kidnaps Kirito and plugs Kirito into the Soul Translator, which puts his flux light in Project Alicization. Kirito wakes up with no memory of what's just happened. He remembers the existence of Asuna though. Kirito then runs into his old childhood friend who doesn't remember him and he doesn't remember him. Like, they don't remember each other. Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Takes Kirito back to town, and Kirito stays in the chapel. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a woodcutter cutting down this tree called Giga Cedar. So Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh! Are chopping at this tree and getting to know each other. Kirito's also getting to know Alice's little sister, Selka. Do remember that this could be out of order or anything, because I haven't read the early parts of Alicization in 2 or 3 years. I think it's 2 years now. So what I'm currently talking about is from here, Book 9. Where I'm currently up to is here, Book 15. In fact, as I go through each part of what I'm talking about, I'll just hold the book I'm talking about up. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Then, gets to know Kirito. Kirito meets Selka. And Kirito asks Yu-Gi-Oh! About Selka's older sister. And he mentions that she broke the law up in the mountains when she touched the underworld. When she touched the I forgot the name of it. The forbidden area. The dark... 2 seconds. I can't find it right now. I know someone's going to correct me. And so Selka, on her day off, goes up there. So Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh! Go after her and are attacked by some goblins. And Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh! Defeat them, save Selka, and everyone lives happily ever after. Yu-Gi-Oh's they've leveled up, and Yu-Gi-Oh! They practice sword skills on Giga Cedar using Yu-Gi-Oh's sword. Giga Cedar falls pretty quickly. Alicization running. Yu-Gi-Oh is now a guard, and Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh go to fight in this tournament. They win the tournament. They get to fight in a Sword Skills Academy. Kirito ends up disrespecting one of the senpais there and one of the sword masters there, and has to fight him as a result, and shit goes down. Kirito has had a piece of Gigaceta processed into a sword that's just as good as Yu-Gi-Oh's. Volume 11, Alicization Turning. Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh are now sword masters with their own valets, Ronye and Tize. Yu-Gi-Oh beats one of his classmates in a duel, injuring him, and to spite Yu-Gi-Oh, he takes it out on his valet. And Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh's Ronye and Tize asked to swap masters with him so they can save the valet that is having it taken out on. And they go and confront them directly, and they see it as disrespect, so they go and do some horrible acts to Tize and Ronye. And Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh step in and break the Taboo Index. As a result of this, they're taken away by the Integrity Knights to the Central Cathedral, and they confront, on their escape, they confront an Integrity Knight, and so they make some really weird stuff happen. Basically, he just goes insane when he remembers his family. Alicization Rising. They continue rising up the Central Cathedral, and they run into a very familiar person. This person tells them that they have to defeat Administrator at the top of the cathedral, otherwise the world will perish. And if the world perishes, they can save up to Kirito can save up to 8 people. Alicization Dividing. Oh no, Rising. They keep going up, and they bump into more Integrity Knights. The secret of how an Integrity Knight is made is explained. They defeat quite a few Integrity Knights, but they specifically spare the Integrity Knight Finaccio. Alicization Dividing. Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh confront Alice, who is an Integrity Knight now, under the name Simpus 32. In the fight, Alice and Kirito are blasted out of the building, while Yu-Gi-Oh is still inside. Yu-Gi-Oh keeps climbing up, and on the 99th floor he challenges the leader of the Integrity Knights, and he decides that he will not kill Yu-Gi-Oh because he spared Finaccio. Meanwhile, Alice and Kirito decide to put their differences aside and keep climbing up. When they get to the top, they get to a room of ice where they're confronted by Yu-Gi-Oh as an Integrity Knight. Cliffhanger alert! Alicization Uniting. Kirito brings Yu-Gi-Oh to his senses, and Yu-Gi-Oh goes off to fight Administrator alone. Kirito and Alice find Yu-Gi-Oh. They defeat the Chief Elder. Then comes the fight against Administrator. A lot of people die. The end. That's pretty much a plot summary of the first half of Alicization. I've left the really big spoilers out, but that's still very spoiler filled. I don't know if that helps you make sense of it at all. I just read it and find it works. And what's the next big bad thing that happens in the next season, like Death Gun and shit, by Josh Levino? Administrator is the big baddie of the first half of Alicization, and she is the most evil thing you will ever encounter until you hit the second half, where the villain is named Gabriel, also known as Subtilizer. And that's pretty much the end of the spoiler section. Thanks for listening to me, once again a year later, blubber on about Sword Art Online. I'm surprised you put up with it. I hope this has answered any questions. Feel free to comment asking more questions. I love answering them, as long as they're not in the frequently asked questions. A link to the frequently asked questions will be provided in the description of this video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.